Hey everybody, Dr. Tim Turlip here from Turlip Chiropractic with this week's installment of 3 Minutes to Vitality. And we're going to hit on a topic that I think is pretty common and pretty one that so many people, because at any given time, 45 million Americans are on a diet trying to lose some weight. And I think it's between 35 and $40 billion a year are spent on weight loss products. And who of us hasn't heard of going on a low-carb diet? And who isn't, people are listening right now going, well, I'm on one right now, right? So in terms of the low-carb diet, but a new study that looks at low-carb diets specifically, and it's not a small study, big study, where it's a two-part study. They actually looked at 25,000 people, followed them for about 6 years, and then used this other fancy thing. It was a conglomerate of data that actually followed people for an average 15 and a half years, and there were 450,000 people studied. So they put all this data information together, and they looked at people who were consuming low carbohydrate, high protein diets. And what they discovered was pretty interesting. So a lot of us will say, wow, you know, when I went on the low carb diet, I actually lost a lot of weight. True, you can. But what we found is that people, as they followed this and people are on this diet and use that type of eating, it actually significantly increased the risk of dying from all causes. So meaning that whatever reason we could die, it increased that risk. So it was by 33% increased risk of death. It's called all-cause mortality again, from anything was 33%. So that was from that. But then looking at specific diseases, what else did it find? Well, some people would actually argue that a low-carb diet with high animal protein consumption will actually decrease cardiac risk. It is absolutely not true. In the longer term studies that look at it, like this very study right here, actually shows that specifically that will increase the risk of death from cardiovascular problem by 50%. So that's a lot, right? So being on that, so yeah, I go, who's laughing? I go, we'll be thin, but we'll be dead, right? So to increase the risk of heart attack and heart disease by greater than 50%. How about stroke? It'll actually take the risk of stroke and increase the risk of stroke itself and death from stroke by 51%. Okay, well, let's look at the other big ugly. How about cancer? Will it increase our risk of cancer by 35%? The risk of dying from cancer by 35%. Those are some pretty significant and staggering numbers. Now, other people will actually argue that in the short term, I could do this low-carb diet, I'd lose weight. I might even have my blood pressure go down. My blood sugar might stabilize. And people will say, wow, it really actually helped to stabilize my diabetes. My blood pressure came down. And great, those things are true short term. But the long-term results of that form of eating are always going to be increased death, right, and increased sickness. It's just the nature of that type of eating. Now, if it's because of increased animal protein consumption, increased saturated fat, cholesterol, all that stuff comes with a low-carb diet. We get less fiber, we get less phytonutrients, we get less vitamins, we get less minerals. So those are probably all in interplay. And I'm not trying to answer the question is exactly what was doing that, but I can tell you that the data is unequivocal at this point, and it's pretty significant. So if you want to lose weight, you want to be healthier, a high nutrient dense, predominantly plant-based diet is the way to go. A low-carb diet just is not the answer. So that's our 3 minutes of vitality for this week, and we'll see you soon. Thanks so much for watching.